it's concrete, we'll do a little section of that. And if it's not, then we'll figure it out as we go. Oh, my neck. Jesus, that was a nice crack.
See, probably work crazy.
Yeah, I almost beat my record time of pulling out a motor, and then the AC machine got stuck.
God damn. What motor?
An Alpha 2.0 turbo. They're pretty easy. It's just the fact that like I was hammering away, and then like the wipers didn't want to come out. I was like, well, I gotta pull this with the wipers in there. This is gonna suck. And then the AC machine wasn't working. I was like, now I gotta come in tomorrow early in the morning and figure out how to move that compressor out the way because it's tucked right underneath the turbo. So there's just
Damn.
and then one of the bolts broke. I was like, great, fantastic. So it's one of those what is it, long days. And it was, mind you,
Yeah.
I started at 3 o'clock and we had to leave at 6. I would have had it done at like 4:30. I would have had the new engine in. So
Hmm.
the fastest time I did an engine by myself was like 3.5 hours. And I was on par to
Damn.
breaking that, and then that shit happened. I was like, fuck. I was like, damn it, damn it, damn it.
Damn.
So it is what it is. Because I like to be competitive. Even if
Oh
it's
yeah.
to myself, I just want to see how much faster I can go, even if it's an engine I haven't touched before. I'm like, I know this. Whatever. They all the same. You know.
Exactly. There, an engine's an engine.
Yeah. 2 liter turbos are everywhere now, so they got to come out one way or another.
Yep.
One way or another.
Probably
And we
common.
are live. Talking about engines, 2 liter turbos. We got to add
Mm.
four more cylinders and another turbo at the end of this one. 2 hours
Yes.
and now 56 minutes till Friday. We are your hosts.
Yep.
Welcome to the I.C.E podcast. We are a little tired, so apologies further in advance. I don't know if Blake's tired, but I
Yes.
definitely am. I'm pretty sure you're tired, obviously, work and shit.
It's tired.
Alrighty.
Always tired.
Always tired, always. It's the grind in good old America. So let's start
Hmm.
off with dealers giving up on Mitsubishi. I kind of expect this to happen though. I don't even want to go too much into it, but I'll just touch on it. I kind of expected it the way it was gonna happen in the car that they were building for the brand. It was kind of inevitable,
Exactly.
but now that Honda's
Exactly.
trying to make the deal with Nissan and Mitsubishi, but in reality Honda swooped up Mitsubishi and kind of kicked Nissan to the curb, which is interesting. It was weird
Yeah.
because I remember we were talking about it, the Honda Nissan Mitsubishi merger, and that they were trying to kick out Renault, and we were talking about that, how that would have been better for the company, which me and you both agree on. And now that Honda's no longer making that deal with Nissan, Nissan's still kind of stuck with Renault, and but they took
Yeah.
Mitsubishi to and try to kick Nissan out. So and then now that the cars aren't really, you know, wouldn't say as good, but I guess as appealing to most, you know, I've yet to see. I mean, I've seen one or two, but I've yet to see a mass production of Eclipse crossovers. I saw a lot of Outlanders. There's a lot of Outlanders for sure.
Yeah. There are definitely a lot of Outlanders on the road for some reason. I don't know how, but there's a lot of them. But those Eclipse crosses, nah, not many of those.
Nah. But what do you think? Why do you think, before we just read the paragraphs, why do you think Mitsubishi's fallen in the American market?
Mitsubishi's fallen in the American market. Couple of reasons. I mean, typically, you see this all the time with people, past actions or past cars kind of leave a bad taste. So Mitsubishi's always made fairly decent cars in the US. It's just that they kind of rust and they always would rust away, after a few years and became
Yeah.
rust buckets, but they were remarkable cars. Um, I think they're not doing well in the US. I mean, the one car that we all wanted maybe as a kid or a child at one point was an Eclipse. You know what I mean? Especially think back to the first Fast
Mm,
and Furious. It was like that was an iconic Eclipse at one point before it
Yeah.
got outshined by the Supra, of course. But Danger the intake manifold. Danger, it was like what? A bolt? I mean,
A
now
bolt.
now we know about cars. It's like, come on, like let's be real. Like that's not that didn't happen.
Yeah, but we
But
were kids.
exactly. Dramatization was great. But they took away that one car. They had great cars like the Evo that we had in the US at least. We have the Evo 8, the Evo 9, the Evo
Mm.
10. We didn't really get the previous Evos, and around the world they had the Galant, which came in like a VR4 spec, which was basically like a larger Evo.
Yeah,
So we
true.
didn't get cars like that in the US.
No,
That I
we
felt
did
like
not.
that's one of the main reasons why like Mitsubishi just didn't succeed. But I mean, I'll take your take on that because I mean, they did make good cars, but they only make rebadged Nissan SUVs and one bespoke Mitsubishi-esque model, the Eclipse Cross.
Well, I was fortunate enough to actually own and drive a Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX. So it was the two-door Evo for
Mm,
people who don't know what that is. Um, I like the car. The previous owners kind of messed it up for me and my experience as far as I had to keep fixing it. But when it drove right, and it was so much fun. The turbo seals blew on it. The spark plugs went on the node. Luckily, shot out the exhaust valve. Otherwise, it would have got stuck. And I would have had to do a motor, and motors aren't cheap for that car, even in the used market.
no,
Um, there was a bunch of stuff I had to
not at
do.
all.
I did a I that was the first car because I tinker around with my own cars. It's my first car. I actually did like a pro spec harness in hand. Like I took it all out. I took up pictures of every connector where all the wires go. So then I was doing nice loom, this and that, some nice graded connectors, and it came out nice and it's all tucked away. It's not a big loom harness, all that. Like it looked nice. So I experimented a lot with that car, which transitioned to a lot of skills, which also transitioned to a lot of tools, etc., etc. But that's besides the point. I think their Halo car was more the evil than the Eclipse. You said the other way around, but I wouldn't. I guess I wouldn't disagree because in the American market we got the Eclipse first, so I get it. We got the Eclipse. It was the Eagle Talon and then the Plymouth Laser, I believe, is what it's called. Plymouth Chaser, one of the I forget, either Chaser or Laser, whatever it may be. But so I get why the Eclipse is more of a Halo car in America. But I think,
Makes sense.
but I always people who grew up I guess, watching racing, always whenever they see a Mitsubishi Evo and rally, they're like, "Yo, I want one of those cars," and then for some reason, America
True.
never got it.
It's true.
At least back when I was a kid. Then they started coming in 2003 with the 8 and then the 9, and then the new world motor deal with the Evo 10. That's why you could swap an
Yeah.
Evo 10 transmission on a Dodge Caliber SRT4. Boom, you got all-wheel drive because the bolt pattern basically was identical. You had to shave off part of the starter. But
Hmm.
I think
Good to know.
I think it's yeah no it's I figured that out like this Russian did it. So then when I saw the Evil 10 and I was working on a Caliber SRT4, then I lined up the bolt. I measured the bolt pattern and it was actually you can literally bolt the Evil 10 trans because they're almost the exact same motor, just a little difference with the starter. You have to shave off part of the bell housing starter to make the starter fit. But other
That's
than that,
tempting, actually. That's
Dodge
tempting. That's
Caliper
tempting
all-wheel
because
drive SRT4,
that's tempting.
what they
That is
should have
tempting.
built,
That's
which I
tempting.
keep complaining about. But
That is tempting. That'd make a nice four cylinder, beater.
true.
I say beater, but it would be treated better than a beater.
But going back to the point of Mitsubishi, I think they just been outshined by the market. They're just a lot more SUVs to compete with. There's a lot. I'll put it this way: there's nothing that stands out on the Mitsubishi lineup as far as either reliability, the fun factor, the I guess the safeness. I forget what those awards like ED Brooks Awards, whatever they're called.
Hmm.
Um, Kelly Blue Book, any of that stuff. They just don't stand out well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like when Nissan bought them, they kind of killed the brand. So that fact that they wouldn't like elevate themselves, because I do agree with you. Like the Eclipse was that car here. proper beer.
Come on,
Man, it's
come
the
on.
it's the effect
There we go.
proper beer raised in the barn. But I know I think
Mind you, it's water in there.
my
Don't tell
name is
nobody.
Jeff. What up, Jay Montenard? Montenard. No, I think they just fell off. But that's probably the only thing I'll say about it. It's they had a good
Yeah,
lineup, even when we were in high school. They at least had the Evo 10, and people shitted on
yeah.
the Evo 10 because of it being an aluminum
Weight.
motor, it
Yeah,
being it shaved
a little
off only
heavier.
like 30 pounds, 30 40 pounds off the previous cast iron motor, which is and then
Yeah,
they went semi open deck with the little bridges like the Subaru. Like there was just a lot of factors that they didn't like that people in the enthusiast market didn't like about the Evil. But the Evil was just as capable as making 1,000 horsepower on a stock block as the cast iron version was. So I
yeah.
think people gave it a bad rep because of that. That's my only take on that aspect of it. But once they killed off the Evo, it was and then the Outlander changed to
They
something
really had
else.
nothing else.
The
Yeah,
brand had nothing else as far as to sell in America. Like their two golden poster cars at the time was the Eclipse, and then the Japan market finally moved the Mitsubishi to America, and then after that it
yeah.
was the Evo. Sorry, the Evo to America. After that, I just it's just crazy how time flies, and now Mitsubishi's almost. I'm not saying it is. It feels like it's getting to a forgotten brand when they did produce some ridiculous rally
Iconic.
cars, yeah, iconic, some good looking, some nice styling. It's like that the Evo alone, not just the Eclipse, but the Evo alone had the praise of supercar killer before the GTR, before people with twin turbo and Ford F-150s, all this other stuff. Like,
Yeah.
if anyone think, oh, what could kill a supercar at the time, it was an Evo, and you threw 20 grand at it, and that thing was stomping everywhere to the point where
Hmm.
like it was like one of the cars besides the Supra that went a 9 second quarter mile back in the 2000s, which was crazy. Like late
Yeah,
90s, early 2000s. Now we're looking at 6 second quarter miles on that
yeah.
platform,
Taking
which is
seconds. Yeah,
the aftermarket is crazy for those two buggers. But yeah, they don't have a platform
a
that's
little four
keeping them
cylinder
going.
that could
Yeah,
literally.
and it's like, and that's the problem. Like they're not building it. Like at least Toyota, and I keep mumbling. At least Toyota is coming back, with some interesting takes, with some cars,
Yeah,
with some
the
engine
G20.
platforms,
Yeah,
which is crazy. Like they're trying to get back into the swing of things, which I do appreciate. I do like. I don't know how it's gonna bode out well, but one thing's for certain: Toyota does know forced induction engines. They've been ever
yeah,
since the early Supra days when they started throwing turbos in the late '70s, early '80s, Celica Supra and stuff like that. Like they know turbo engines, so and now that they're cooperating with Mazda and Subaru, which in my head I'm like, I get it, it's a great partnership, but I feel like you could do that on your own. I feel like ask Yamaha to come back, even though they're not doing automotive engines anymore. Ask them, yeah, let's do one last hoo and I bet you guys will build
exactly.
a crazy motor. But no, I think just Mitsubishi just falling off. I can understand why they're falling off the American market, and it sucks because those three diamonds mean something to a
I
lot of.
do want to. I want to touch on something you said too.
Go for it.
Not to cut you off. Not to cut you off, but you
Go
said
for it.
something about Nissan. Keeping Mitsubishi down. I agree with that
Oh yeah, for sure.
because I remember when Nissan first approached Mitsubishi and it seemed like, oh, this is a great deal. The Evo, maybe we'll see the return of the Evo. And it
Exactly.
seemed promising because, I mean, even Infinity, they unveiled that variable compression 2.0 four-cylinder. So I was
Uh-huh.
like, okay, at least, Nissan Infinity, they're adding tech. They gave us a new motor. Unfortunately, that motor is a unreliable piece of,
Oh, of
I'm not
course.
going to say the word,
Of course.
but it makes good power, but it gives you V6 fuel economy, and you're not getting four-cylinder fuel economy, but you're not even getting reliability. So, of course, Mitsubishi wouldn't want to put that in their car.
No.
So it's a shame because if Mitsubishi had more money, which we're not going to give, I guess, Mitsubishi credit for what it is, because I mean, Mitsubishi is a conglomerate. Like, I mean, they make ACs, elevators,
Yeah.
industrial
They're
equipment. They
crazy.
make
Crazy.
everything. But in the car world, yeah, their brand right now, it's kind of a shell of its form itself. And I mean, we've seen it. I guess old timers have said before the past. I guess the Mitsubishi stakeholders, they
Hmm.
actually bailed out the car brand before. So maybe we may see something like that again. Maybe, or maybe right now they just want to see what Nissan can do for them in terms of this market. I mean, they have overseas a pickup truck that they sell, I think the Triton, but
The Triton,
even
yes.
then, that's not selling as well as it should.
I think if they were to come back, they would probably have to build. They will have to rebuild the Evo, I think, and they will actually have to bring back the Eclipse so that the Eclipse can
Ooh,
face one of the topics at hand that we're about to get into. The Eclipse could face that,
yeah,
and then the Evo can face whatever they're putting that four cylinder
whatever
in a
else.
well hot hatch because like Subaru kind of
Yeah,
died out in my opinion. It's like they could come back if they. I feel like they could come back if they want to. I feel like they're just choosing not to, which is odd. I've never seen like
yeah.
someone who carried the WRX STI name for so long for it to go down like that. Like it's kind of like the MR2
They
when it
just kind
went
of rolled
when it
over.
went down with a
Hmm.
whimper. Like the MR2, the Eclipse, it went down with like you didn't go down like fighting.
Yeah, they just kind of said, all right, this is yeah,
Yeah,
here it is.
although the Evo,
All
like
right,
the Evo 10 was like, yeah, they hated it, but at least it went out with somewhat of a bang. Like it still produced
yeah,
power, rosin pistons, and a turbo away from knocking on 800 to 1,000 on a little 2-liter four cylinder. Like at least it was doing something, you know. Like it
yeah.
went out with
Still
a
was a beast.
bang, but it kind of killed the
Just
brand.
remember, didn't Mitsubishi build? We know they gave us great SUVs too, like the Montero. I just remembered that now. That was a
Yeah,
full
the
size
Mitsubishi
off-road capable
Montero,
SUV.
but I think that's
And
why they
then
did the
we
Eclipse
didn't get the
Cross.
Pajero, and we never got the Pajero here,
No,
right?
I don't think so.
Oh, that would be cool for you know what? In today's SUV driven market,
Hmm.
that would be cool for them to bring back today as like a Suzuki Jimmy competitor with a nice Turbo 4. That would be a beast. I almost wish, unfortunately, this is gonna sound diabolical. I like Nissan Infinity, but I almost wish Toyota got their hands on Mitsubishi and that Nissan got their hands on Subaru because I feel like those two brands, Subaru is not the most reliable. They are, but they have some issues.
I feel
I
like
felt them would have been better, and Toyota and Mitsubishi would have.
I feel like that Subaru, the way Subaru is building their cars, to me Nissan wasn't up for it. There's a reason why Toyota and Subaru partnership worked out for the most part. It's because of the platform they built, the BRZ and the A6.
Yeah,
So that partnership makes sense. They understood what the market wanted. They wanted a nice, affordable, somewhat
sports car.
like a somewhat of a sports car, yeah, in a sense. And that's
Yeah,
that's what they got. Granted, it only had 200 horsepower, had a 50-50 weight distribution, had a coefficient of drag of 0.27. Like it came with a 6-speed manual option, with somewhat tallish gears. It had a
yeah,
most of them have a LSD. I'm pretty sure the open dip, but you get like the bigger trims that had like a LSD in the back.
yep.
It was a nice light transmission. It was a light overall package. It was like, and people are gonna hate me for this. It was like the AE86 Corolla, in my opinion.
No, man, it lived up to its name, and I think in the
Not
modern
really,
world we
but
didn't
I understand.
really.
I don't
Yeah,
think
well,
so.
okay, it's not. It didn't dethrone its form itself, but
No.
it came back as a modern interpretation of it. It came back in
That
the,
I
the
agree with.
modern
It
world.
came up as a
You
modern. I
know,
agree with that. I agree with that. But
yeah,
I
it
don't
came up.
agree
It was
that
like, hey, welcome.
it was a modern interpretation of what they could have built. But to me, it didn't live up to the name solely because back then, when the
Yeah,
manufacturers were building cars, they were building cars against each other. This was a joint conglomerate. This is one of those
you were
things.
absolutely right. It
And
was like, hey, they joined forces with the enemy and said, hey, let's do this together versus
because
what can you put out
because like
and what we could put out.
because you're using a flat four from Subaru and a Toyota chassis. Like back then in at least Group Rally, it was a Toyota Celica versus the WRX. It was they were
Yeah.
competing, and it was good to watch. It was fun. It was amazing to watch. Like that was like
Hmm.
people. I mean, granted, it got safer. Less people are dying, which is good. But people are still gonna say like Group B Rally. It's it was the best at the time. Nothing compares to it. Which in a lot of senses, I do agree, and the sport has got safer a lot, but it was a lot more, let's say, raw in a
Amazing.
sense, and
It's
that's
amazing though. It's amazing that those cars, like, you look at these little cars and you say, oh, they're a little toy, but those cars are going on little jumps. You know, they got some nice suspension
Of
on
course.
it, nice gearing, and they go on jumps, going through dirt, going through puddles and mud and everything, and they're just ripping through at high rates of speed. So I mean, yeah, we don't give those rally cars enough credit for what they
Yeah.
were capable of, and people didn't appreciate them, I think, enough.
No, not a lot. Not a lot. Bring the Evo and Eclipse back. I agree for sure. But no, yeah. What was I gonna say? It brought a lot of competition to what they were building back then, and I get that you're joining so that you save on production and cost. I get that, but to me, the 86, at least in that form, should have got like the 2AR motor, like from Toyota or something along the lines of that. Something that they could just turbo real quick and see what it does, or even if they built a bespoke like V6 or whatever, I'll be with a dry sump, like, or just something along the lines of that.
Yeah,
But
it's
like
good.
they already had a 2JR, just take out the oil pump, put a dry sump kit on it, put the oil tank, somewhere out, and then make it an affordable, like race car. Like you could have sold it like that, but
Yeah,
the not saying it didn't sell well. The car did sell well. The car's still an amazing, let's say, experience as far as cost per horsepower or dollar per horsepower. And it also invited a lot of enthusiasts to use that platform for a lot of engine swaps, a lot of track builds, a lot of aero kits, a lot of like they go on time attack. They go like that car is literally
yeah,
what is it? I would say the car is more up to the Miata standards than it is the Corolla or Camry standards back then, in my opinion. Because the A86
yeah,
Corolla was one of those things where, like, it cemented itself with the whole drift and Tokyo
yeah.
scene and
It became like the
mountains.
poster child. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, you see the nice cartoon anime images, everything. Like
yeah,
you
like
always see,
initial D. Like anyone
yes,
who knows the Corolla knew it from initial D, and if they didn't know it from initial D, they knew it from like, oh, my granddad or my uncle used to have one. He drove every day to work time thing. It was one of those things. It was either your family had one or initial D, and probably some other. Like if you actually watch Tokyo Drift, like actual drifting series overseas, you will see them actually using it. But very few people were actually watching drift seas overseas. I was able to watch clips, but I never actually watched the series as it was live. So I was not fortunate enough to see that live. If I was a little kid seeing that, I probably would have been a little drifter.
yeah,
But I watch mainly rally and road car racing most of my days. But yeah, Mitsubishi's gone. I think, unfortunately, and it sucks to see. But I guess life moves on, and we gotta see what Nissan will do with that.
of course,
But let's get on to the next.
yeah.
Let's get on to the next, and we'll come back to that point of four cylinders. But
Mm-hmm.
Mansory has some time on their hands.
I want to get started on that. Like I don't know, I don't even know
what
what's
do you
going on here.
What do you think of the
What
design,
this is
though?
supposed to the fantasy of building like a weird looking Batmobile. You know what I mean? Like it's like a kid. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It's like a kid building like a nice, fantasy toy. Like, hey, look at my little Hot Wheel truck, cyber truck thingy.
Mm.
But are any of those mods actually useful?
Well, it's Mansory. It's a name. It's like anything they built. Like people buy these Mansory built cars because they got money. I get it. Sometimes it's the
Status.
styling. I get it. Sometimes it's the amount of horsepower, or let's say they like what is it? Brabus, I think, is a better example of that because they actually take apart the motor,
Touch the engine.
bore it out,
Yeah.
stroke it, do all this crazy stuff, and it
Engineer it
and
and
it
say, hey, here you go. It's a
but
more
they
powerful
but they
package.
also charge less dollar or less of a price tag than Mansory. Mansory is more for like the status, which is just crazy. I just never understood.
Aesthetics.
I just never
The
understood it.
visuals.
Like the fact that this probably
Fancy body
gets
kit.
think about it like this, like the G wagon, right? When
Hmm.
Brabus was building it, I think that's a $200,000 SUV. And after they were done with it, it was like 400, like about 450, and then like the new twin turbos, it was like 4.5 liter twin turbo. Like they went balls to the wall with that car, got their money's worth. Mansory is
Yeah,
more of styling, aesthetics. You know, they do all this other stuff, and they charge more than what Brabus would do, and Brabus actually touch every bolt of the car. That's what amazes me about Mansory half the time. I might be getting my facts wrong,
yeah,
but as far as from what I saw, it's Mansory's more of a status symbol. It's like a $1 million home type thing.
yes.
That's a
You get it
$1 million
to
truck.
show that you have money. You get
Exactly.
it to show that you have money, and to go bring it around your other rich friends and say, "Hey, look what I got. How come you
Nah,
didn't get
sure.
one of these?" And it's like they're
One
like,
of
"Well,
one.
I could
One
have
of
got more."
one. One of one. Fucking hell. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny, and you can go online and you guys can find the comments. You can see what people say about Mansory, and like especially what people are saying about this. Like now, people are saying, "Hey, Mansory is really a social experiment on people now,
At
just
this
because
point, yeah,
of them touching the Cybertruck."
because
Yeah,
they didn't make good cars back then, and they were pricey, but
but they look good.
it was understandable because at the time I think Brabus was the only other company that was just starting to touch cars like that. So they were literally the
Yeah,
only ones actually touching cars. Now it's like now everyone's touching them. So I'm just Brabus has
yeah,
made a name for themselves for boring, stroking, putting big turbos, doing like nice suspension mods, you know, doing the whole
yeah,
interior, doing their own software on the interior, doing their own steering wheel, putting their own like
yeah. The
they did
stitching,
everything.
everything. Like you
Everything.
look at the stitching and it's like, "Ooh, oh wow, they added this in here. They
not
added this. You can't
not
get this in
one
a just
thing
regular
was not touched on their vehicles, like from literally from the tires to
the
the headlights
wheels,
to
the
the
brakes."
engine,
Yeah.
the trans, the rear diffs, whether it be all-wheel drive, whether I mean electric might be a little different depending on what they tackle, but
Hmm.
everything was touched and modified. Now it's a little now with
Yeah.
like Mansory, it's like all right, you got that competing against you. Like for the money, I'd rather get a Brabus than I would get a Mansory if I'm paying that money, but you
All
know
day.
but besides that whole argument about dollar per value of any one of these people that or any one of these companies that build these type of cars, what do you think of the styling?
Yeah. Okay. All right. If let's just talk. We'll talk specifically about the style. All
Mm.
right. You know what? In a sick way, there are some things I like about it. I do like the
Express,
textured. I like the textured looking hood. I do like the textured looking hood.
the
I
forged
like
carbon fiber.
the
Yeah.
Yes, I like that. I like what they did with the bumpers. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like that's good. I like what they did with the fender flares. It gives it some style, and the little light bar that they put on the top of it. The spoiler in the back is cool because at first I'm like, what is that? But I
I
get what
didn't
it's
like it,
supposed to
but
be.
I don't like it, but I get it.
It kind of reminds me of something more expensive, but I know it's not. So it kind of gives me that boy racer look. I kind of want to remove it. If like I'm just trying to picture in the picture right now, I'd honestly remove it for a cleaner look.
Yeah.
And I think with the stance that they gave it, the bumpers, I think that was enough. I think the spoiler ruins it. And oh, did they add a little fake back window vent thing? Okay, that needs to go.
Yeah. To me, those wings look
That
like
go.
that rear spoiler looks like Red Bull gives you wings, but the fenders the
Damn, it does look
fenders with
like
the
that. I
little.
see it.
I'm not a fan of the drag spike that they got torn towards the rear. It would have been fine with just that, but they
Oh,
obviously
I see that.
they
Yeah,
probably trying to set themselves apart, and I get it in a sense, but I just don't like it.
I didn't see that. I missed that. Yeah,
But the little spikes in the middle and then the drag spike going across, I just don't like. You could have They could have made it more simple. It's probably for bolts, so I could get it. If
yeah,
it's for bolts, then I'll allow it. You know, I don't mind. But the little
yeah,
drag spike, I don't like. The bumper's neat. I like the bumper. The bumper's nice. The side skirts, I don't think is necessary, but it ties
yeah,
into the look, and if it's gonna tie into the look, you might as well complete the fender, not just stop halfway,
yeah,
put a guard, and then the side skirt
yeah.
like that.
Exactly.
That doesn't make sense to me because the front fender goes into the front bumper and at least completes that edge of it. But then when you go back, there's parts
Hmm.
that are missing. As far the way I look at it,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I like the fact they went forged carbon fiber, but at the same time, I don't see a
Why?
benefit for doing forged carbon fiber in this aspect. But I think the light bar was already there. I think with some of these Cybertrucks, they just added on to it. I'm not entirely sure
Okay.
though. But no, I give it like a 2.5 out of 10. I would say, 2.7, 2.7 out of 10. I'll give it a 2.7.
I'll give it a three for you. Only for the wheels. The wheels, the fenders, minus the drag, like you said, those
I do like
spikes,
the
the little
wheels. That's why I gave it a little
bulls.
bump. I gave it a 2.7. I was like, I like the wheels. I like that rotiform style wheel. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Does it fit the
Like, and I
car? Not
think the
entirely, but
stance is nice.
yeah.
It's a nice, it has a nice stance. Like, it makes it look nice. Like, I think it needs to be a little bit more lower, maybe slightly smaller wheels,
Well, would you go
and
with like a rotiform style wheel, or would you go with like a B lock or like a military grade wheel to match the aggression, or would you go with
I
something
would
else
go with
entirely?
more. Honestly, I would go more with a beadlock style wheel just to give it more of a rugged look. Because it's Mansory. I get their crowd's more of a luxury crowd, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mansory could have nailed off a luxury looking beadlock wheel, especially where they went with this rotiform. It's kind of like the opposite in a sense.
Let's see how much the G wagon goes for. Wagon.
G wagon,
Uh, New Mansory wide body kit.
G wagon.
Like they do. I won't knock that they build like some pretty neat looking cars. Don't get me wrong. Like they look nice. They look really really
Yeah,
nice. But like that's G class wide. So let's say most people go for the Coronas Black Edition. Let's say. Come on, give me a price. Look at that. Look at that performance. Instead of 536, proudly achieves an impressive 828 horsepower with 1,000 Newton meters of torque.
yeah.
This is on the older platform. This looks like the twin turbo 5.5 liter. But
I
where's
believe,
the
if
where's the
I'm not
cars?
mistaken,
Oh wow,
I
296
believe,
edition. Jesus Christ. See, I don't like that winglet. I don't know. That 296, nah, I don't know. You had me, and then I saw the wing. I was like, oh, like this looks
you know,
nice. This looks nice. Then
mhm,
I saw the wing, and I was like, shit,
that's the Mansory wing.
dude. If you just like complete that all the way, ooh, that would be nice. Just complete that all the way across. Make it like edge out a little, like GT wings are, and then that thing will look nice. Nah, you just did a whole, uh, like
Believe it or not, that is a 4.0 twin turbo.
this one.
And well, on the Barabbas side,
Yeah. Okay, Brabus. Yeah.
I wasn't looking at
That winglet
the
kills
screen.
me. But this does now.
Let me go
This is
back
what
to
I'm
the
talking
winglet.
about. This is nice. This shark fin
Yeah,
design going up with the splitter
yeah,
going out. The relief vents on the fender for the wheel pressure. The vents outside. The side skirts going across and
yeah. That
directing the
makes it
air
nice.
coming out. The air inlet here. Like this looks like a proper car, and it makes 870 horses. Holy shit! The 0 to 60 or 0 to 100 kilometers for everyone else around the world in 2.8 seconds.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ! But this is nice. Like
impressive.
this is nice. That Cybertruck is no. But why can't I find a price on these? Ministry G
They don't
wagon
put a price. I think
price.
they like to sell it by person.
Some models cost over $1 million. Yeah, that's wild.
Yep,
Cause like, all right, Ministry G wagon,
ridiculous.
Brabus, hundreds of thousands of euros. A 2022
Hmm.
Brabus 800 sold for little less than half a million. Like it sold
And
for
you're getting
50
more
grand
car.
less than half a million. That's not bad. Like I don't have that type of
You're
money,
getting more car.
but going from the dollar for what you get versus what Mansory provides, besides that 296 looks nasty, other than the wing. Like that's a pretty good price. That's nice for what you're getting,
Yeah,
and the fact that they're touching everything and they warranty it. Like that's crazy.
yeah.
Wow, I just understood German for a second.
No,
it was like said something in German. I was like, wait, I actually could read, accept all cookies. That's crazy. Who knew? Who knew? I might be German. Who knows? But
Might be.
nah, I'm not a big fan.
Nine.
2.7 out of 10. I give it that.
Yeah.
I give
No.
it that. I give it that. Uh,
Yeah.
ugh. You know, it is what it is. But on
Yeah.
to other things about electric. CEO Peter Rawlinson steps down.
Oh, lucid, lucid, lucid.
I wonder why, because they built some decent electric vehicles.
They make a nice looking car, and they have one of the fastest performing sedans out there, where their car gets to be classified like a super electric sedan. I'm not gonna call it a super sedan. I'm gonna
Hmm.
call it a super EV because it's faster than the Tesla. So,
Oh, let me
but
read this. Let's see what's happening. Let's see. The company
I
CEO
believe,
Mark Winterhoff has been named an interim CEO. Now that we have successfully launched the Lucid Gravity, I have decided it is finally the right time for me to step aside from my roles as Lucid. Rawlinson said in a Lucid press release. Rawlinson served as the head of the startup for 12 years, presiding over the company's renaming from Ativia to Lucid Motors in 2016, and leading the successful launch of the brand's first vehicle, the Air sedan. All right, he's like, you know what? I did my thing. I'll let you. I've got it all off. I did what I'm supposed to do.
mhm,
Y'all actually, you know, actually did what you're supposed to do and got it released. I'm gonna let now that you got this out the way. I'm gonna step down. Y'all do your thing, and I'll be on the advisory board. All right. It's kind of like a way to
yeah,
retire without retiring. So I see what he did there. So I won't even have to read most of this off anyway. Well, Winterhoff will lead Lucid while the company begins the search for the new CEO, and yada 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 about the plans for SUVs is expected to adopt the name Earth, and Rawlinson said last year that it will start around $48,000. Another mid-sized car will likely be a sedan to slot in under the Air, but it's unclear what the third vehicle will take. So they're releasing more cars after the Air release. They finally got that project done. He said, "I'm stepping aside. I'm gonna take the more advisory role, so that you guys could bloom." And it's like a retiring without saying you retire. I think that's what I got from this.
see, I thought I read something somewhere that Lucid was losing a ridiculous amount of money, um, of like $300,000 on each car. But
Really?
who knows if
For
that
the
was
price
real?
they sell it for, you think they're losing $300,000? Or is it because of the R&D they put into the cars that they're not selling enough to make up that back for that capital?
So that could be it. So like, and that's what I read too. Like I read that something about. Let's see if I can find it here. I just found the article.
That'll
Pierre
be
Rollins steps
interesting.
down as CEO, and they said it was due to the losses that they had, and it was because the company loses 300,000 for every car sold last year. So maybe not in all, maybe depending on how they went up producing those cars, getting them to the market. But
Yeah, because
so
some
let's
people
see
even rave
that.
about the Lucid that it could be better than the Tesla, and I've yet to hear like a bad thing about the Lucid. The only
Yeah,
bad thing I heard about electrical cars is charging stations. But as far as competing with the brands, I've the Lucid seemed to be a better affordable option against the Tesla. From what I've heard, I haven't heard anything negative as far as anything along the lines of servicing it, stupid things breaking, and I might be just out of the loop with EVs because I don't care as much. But um, it seems like a good competitor against Tesla. I mean, Tesla has more of a lineup, but because Elon and all that, he's hyped up the brand and stuff. But
yeah,
um, no, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good alternative from what I saw.
definitely, definitely good alternative. I mean, I don't know the name of their highest powered model, but I know that that's definitely the king of the acceleration battles right now.
Oh, of course, they're killing it. It's crazy. That's why I'm like, I'm so surprised. And for the price they, granted, Tesla is priced pretty good, but when you get to the more like options and lineup, it starts to get a little over crazy. And Lucid actually makes it somewhat affordable, which is interesting. So that's why I'm like, wow, quite surprised.
Yeah. So I guess in total, the net automaker had a net loss of 2.7 billion in 2024. So it's the people are just associating their loss with what it would consider each car they sold if they made money, how much money they technically still lost. So
So it's the amount of R&D they
is
put
that an
in,
accurate representation of
and then
yeah,
they did all that.
that's what it seems more like. That's what it seems more like. It doesn't seem that it's they sold this car and they lost them. No, it's they put all that R&D into it, and then they developed the car, and then probably even the sources that they used to make the car, and they said, well, we'll make our money back. And of course, they had to pay everybody and all the engineers and everybody in the teams, and of course, making sure that everything was right. Because I mean, their product came out, and yeah, we haven't heard complaints. I mean, there's only been a few EV manufacturers that have come out and succeeded. I mean, Rivian,
Yeah,
Lucid,
Rivian's one.
Tesla, but look at Fisker or Karma Fisker, whatever. They're gone again.
Hmm.
Um, there was another one we never got that I think. I can't think of the name, but I know Honda or even GM had a joint venture with them at one point. Like everybody had a venture, and then that company went belly up. Their stocks went, away, and now they're gone. They're a thing of the past. Can't think of the name of that company, but they were gonna build batteries for everybody. But enough from the EV for me.
I'm just gonna say it
But
right now. It's like go hybrid, no more EVs. That's all I'm
yes,
saying.
thank you
Like
Toyota for building hybrids for years and years and years, and people didn't see the value in you, and they even tried to knock you down and said you guys need to build a full EV instead of hybrids. So thank
as
you.
a die-hard Toyota supporter, I appreciate that.
No, I noticed it. I seen it, and I said, hey, my favorite thing was when the Toyota CEO told all the countries and said, "Hey, no, we're not gonna just build the EV. Oh, you want us to build the EV? Hey, Subaru, let's do this together. Give them an EV. Here you go. All right, we'll just use that as a placeholder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna have problems. Everybody's EV has problems. So I mean, and I can't. I'm not gonna knock that. I try to use that. Oh, Toyota have no. Every EV came out and had a problem, so they recalled it, they fixed it, and now people are like, "Hey, they're content with it.
And that's the one
They're
thing I
happy."
like about Toyota is like they own up to their I think a lot of Japanese brands they just own up to their mistakes. Not just Toyota,
Hmm.
but Toyota seems to be the one that stands out because they literally be like, "Yo, we fuck up. Here we go. Here's a fix.
Yeah. I
Done."
mean, they're still known for the years what they had the rust issue. There no brand ever did that, and they fixed all their trucks. People who had a Forerunner, Tundra, a Tacoma,
Yeah.
anything, they were like, "Hey, you're in my frame is rust Toyota, so don't worry, we'll fix that."
Like they had a weird
Wow.
thing going on with that with the rusted frame issue, but they saw which lineup got affected and did all of them. So I appreciate them for that. It's
And they fixed it.
yeah, they fixed it at
They
the end
didn't
of the
just
day.
let us keep driving it. Hey, you know what? User error. Oh, hey, you bought the car. It's your problem. No, they fixed it.
It was just
That's
down to the
respect.
metals they were using because they never, like we salt our roads like crazy, and that's what eats up the metal of the frame, and
and and they
that's why it
still
came to that.
and they still didn't have to, and they still didn't have to. I mean, look at some of these other Japanese cars, right? Like that are like they brought it out over the years. They probably use similar metal, you know what I mean, and it makes sense. But now it's like they could have said, "Oh, we'll fix that," but Toyota said, "Hey,
He's a whole
bring
new
it back,
frame. He's a whole new frame.
bring it
Lift the
back,
body up. Let's get this motherfucker in.
and we're gonna give you a loaner car for the years." Like they did so well that Kia and Hyundai learned from them and said, "Let's give everybody 100,000 mile warranty and make sure we replace our engines and we'll build up a fan base."
When did that release? When did that 100,000 mile release? I forget. I was working at a dealership,
I
and when
want to
I
say what 2000. I mean, but it wasn't it young when
no,
we were
but it
young,
was like
or
newer cars. Like it was like decent,
oh
like Kia Optimas and stuff. And I was like, wait a
oh you're talking
second.
okay. We're talking about Hyundai Kia, yeah, like 2010 maybe 12 when they started,
I'm about to say
13.
because when I heard that, I was like, huh? I was like, the most I
Because
ever heard was Chrysler's 5 years, 60,000 mile.
I was about to bring that up.
You
Their
know, and
unlimited
then
powertrain warranty.
yeah, and then they had like the 770 if you paid extra for X Y Z. But then Kia was like, nah, this is standard. 10 years, 100,000. Holla at you.
Mhm.
I was like,
It
damn.
was a warranty war. It was
Almost made
Toyota had the
almost
best
made me want to buy
warranty.
a Kia. I was like, holy shit.
Same, because Toyota had the best warranty for forever, and because they knew their product, they were like,
It's not
"Hey,
even a fact.
come buy it."
Nah, Toyota didn't even have a great warranty. They just had they had great reliability, so there was barely anything to warranty.
Yeah, true. That is true. That's true.
they were like 3 years, 30,000 miles. Like we know this shit gonna last. It's alright. That's literally what they
But
did.
but if you shop for warranty, man, your warranty would cost you nothing with a Toyota. Like go ahead, go get an American car. That warranty was triple the cost because they know they're like, hey, yeah, we're gonna have some issues with this thing.
It's just
Or a German
crazy.
car, they're like,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
you're gonna have some electrical issues later on down the
It's crazy,
line.
yo.
But yeah, no, Toyota is good for that, honoring their product. Kia, I mean, I know somebody that had a Kia, they got a brand new engine and like they gave him a loaner for like a year. So I respect Kia. Like Kia's definitely won everybody over. And like, by just living up to their reputation, their brand. Like, you know what I mean? They stuck by their product. Yeah, they have issues, like not the most reliable motors. Some of them pop, some of them smoke and burn oil, but at least they warranty it.
Oh
That's all I have to
man,
say about that. They warranty it.
they always warranty everything. That's just what they do.
Yeah,
That's just what they do. Cause they are Toyota.
yeah. Toyota did good with that though, making
So,
sure that they fix their
so,
product.
so, so. Celica revival. That's gonna
Um,
be crazy.
it only makes sense. It really
And
only makes sense
how
because
would you think? Because there's a lot of concepts. Like I'm looking up concepts here. There's a lot of concepts, but I think there was one that stood out to them. Let me see. I think I remember what it looked like. It didn't look. It looked like shit. It looked like a
it looked
modern
like
day.
the Corolla.
I think it looked on the lines of Celica Toyota.
I think I might know which one you're talking about. Look like a modern day Super Camry mix.
Let's see.
To some people said it looked like the Supra, but then people have to remember the Supra was a was a trim level on the Celica.
That was true until they split the both names apart, and then they would just went batshit bananas with
Mm-hmm.
that.
Because they were like, "Oh, this is trim level selling so well, we need to make a car out of it." I mean, we've gotten a lot of good cars out of trim levels, actually. I mean, the Cadillac, Fleetwood. I think it was like the DeVille, the Fleetwood, and then the Fleetwood DeVille. Then they made the DeVille, and it's like, okay, they really make cars off of trim levels now. A lot of times, Mustang Cobra,
It's
Cobra.
just
No, I'm just kidding.
crazy. I was trying to find a picture on my phone. I can't find it, but it was. Let's just say something along
That
the
red
lines
one,
of like
that red one
this.
looks, yeah, like that. Yeah.
It was different. It was definitely. It was like a mixture of that and this, like one of these two.
Mhm.
It was like a
Like
mixture of
that's a
those
nice
two.
looking concept. Because and when you look at it, yeah, it gives you that super vibe, and it gives you that's what Toyota was supposed to build us.
Yeah.
Not the BMW, not the Supra, not the
The
Z4 Supra.
Supra. And it looks like they're following that whole hood on fender concept too, which is quite annoying, but
Hmm.
I guess it makes
I don't mind it.
sense.
I like it.
No, I like the old school, you know.
It reminds me of a clamshell.
If all right, so if they do this, they gotta open from the windshield. It has to. It has to. I want to see
I
that.
agree.
I
I
want to see
agree.
that.
That's
I
what I was
want to
gonna.
see that.
They need to make a kit, conversion
I
kit.
don't
Hey,
care if
after they make
I
the
don't care
car,
if someone's
I'll
gonna
make the
do.
conversion kit.
I don't care if someone's like, oh, when I gotta do an engine, I gotta. I don't care. I want to see that. I want to see that thing go. I want to see
Exactly.
that
Bring back that '90s esque retro
with
front opening
that
hood. I
hood,
miss
like
the
like the
BMW that
with
I
the
had.
old school Corvette, same way, or even the C7
Yeah,
Corvette opens like, do that with that. I want to see that.
all the
If
old
they're gonna,
BMWs, like that's the one thing. Like that was nice, nice touch. Little details, nice car, little details,
cause if they
little
do,
details.
cause if they do that, you know how easy it would be to do a headlight.
I know. All
Just
that
bloop.
space right there. Hey, take the bulb out.
Oh wow.
But then it's sad now. Now we have LEDs and everything's like one big unit.
No, that's a nice concept though. I like it. I like that they're I like that they're building a four cylinder first. They're building an engine before they're building a car. I'm like, all right, we get it. You building an engine. Now there's like, oh, we're building a car. I'm like, all
Yeah,
right.
they're doing what you wanted Dodge to do. They're building an engine and then they're building a car for that engine. And it makes so much sense why Toyota's success is like this because they built a engine. Okay, yes, this engine can go in multiple cars,
Hmm.
but now we're going to build you. car that's going to showcase our new engine. Not, yeah, we'll just throw that engine in with everything that we have already,
You
which is
know
what
what?
most American brands do.
You know what? This will be perfect. I mean, it'll probably be stretching it, and I don't think they're ever gonna do it. But this will be perfect for an all new twin turbo V6, rear wheel drive only though. And
You
this will
know
also
what?
be, and if they
And
want to do an all wheel drive, it will be the G20 cylinder. So you will only get two options. You either get like, let's say, a GR like Spec M or whatever, and it'll be the twin turbo V6, and then you'll get like, if you want just the rally edition, it will be the G20 all wheel drive with like the 6 speed and automatic, of course, because you know people are people at the end of the day.
you just gave me a random idea. Man, I think
Mm.
that Toyota should do what they always do. Because people say right now, like, okay, I know they have a twin turbo V6 now, but people
Yeah.
already they rag on it. They say it doesn't have the best exhaust or engine. I think we just need to see the same thing that they did in the past. Give that engine to Yamaha and let them rework the heads a little bit. You know what I mean? Get
Oh
that thing
yeah,
to
of
flow
course.
right in this
They're
thing
like,
and let it
yo,
sing.
what is this whole exhaust integrated bullshit? Yo, we taking this shit out of here, man. Individual
And
runners.
give us a performance version of that. Put that
I
in
th-
this car too.
I think they should rework their old. I mean, they now have the new. Was it the 3.5 or
Dude,
3.4 liter twin turbo
yeah,
V6? I forget what the engine code is. I think it's like
yeah,
VR35H, something like that. But what I think they should do, if they wanna, let's say, create a Mach 6 Supra and the Celica will be a testing bed like they did back in the old days, they should put they should build a bespoke twin turbo, like let's say a V6 with like all the bells and whistles, everything they know, but something with a lower bank angle so that it has better center of gravity. Yeah, it's a V6, blah blah blah. It's like not all V6s sound great. When they do
yeah.
is when they do is cool, but they should build something like that and put it in this
Nissan.
car. Nissan's probably the only one. I give them credit. Nissan built some nice, fantastic sounding VQs, but the VQs are for the special crowd, and the VR38, I guess, is what brings it all home, in my opinion.
Yeah, it
It's like,
does.
because if you ever heard of
It does.
VR38, although it's muffled, it just sounds so nice versus the loud
Yeah.
raspiness of a VQ, which is it's kind of a trade
Hmm.
off, and I get it, but it's like because if
Yeah.
you turbocharge a VQ, it sounds pretty similar to a VR38, but I digress.
Exactly.
But
A little. Yeah. Exactly. It's like,
I think
same, same, but different.
I
Different.
th-
Different though.
I think they should go back to the drawing board, build another V6, do 90-degree bank angle V6. Choose whether you want to do individual crank pin set, an offset crank pin set, or if you want to go common pin, and that crank will be, regardless, you get the most strength out of a common pin because it's more material in that sectional area, and then when you go individual, like the VR38s, there's a reason why the VR38s, when you throw so much power at them, they're for some reason you call them Bluetooth crankshafts because they start splitting, and then
Yeah.
now you need to build a whole motor again, but you know
Yep.
I would say learn from that and build a stronger individual running crank, or just go the common pin
Yeah.
route or a nice split pin route and just have that either equal firing order, however you want to go, or odd firing, and just throw it in this, make it a 3.5 liter. Throw all the bells and whistles at it. Making a nice. Oh, it only has
Yes.
400 horsepower, twin turbo. This is gonna be X, Y, and Z, and then the now four-cylinder low power output and a high power output with 400 and 600 horsepower, you could throw that in an all-wheel drive version of this, and that thing will be
I
nasty.
think the V35 is a compliance motor.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna say,
Like everything else.
like I'm saying it, like I'm saying in exactly, like, and I'm not knocking. That's why, like, when I say about these brands, I'm not trying to knock them. I just feel like a lot of the product they put out was just for compliance, just to get by the emission, the new rules today. But now that everything, like for example, Mercedes keeping their V8, Toyota's gonna give us the twin turbo V8. They said eventually,
Yeah,
so it's only a matter of time before they
but
say, ah, let's
the only
scrap this
the
V6
only
and maybe
problem with
rework
that,
it.
the only problem with Toyota's decision is gonna stay in a Lexus brand. If they're bringing back the Celica, obviously they're not bringing back the Celica in a Lexus brand. It has to be Toyota because that's synonymous with Toyotas. Besides Yamaha,
Yeah,
besides Supra, besides Corolla, besides Camry, it's Celica. Like you can't. You can't put
I don't
that.
mind.
Nah,
No, and that's
no,
the
no,
thing.
no,
I
no.
don't mind. I don't mind that. Like what I mean is, yeah, they have to keep it Toyota. Like it's not. That's what I'm saying. It's not. They can't bring that as a Lexus product. But I can definitely see them now saying, okay, Lexus gets the twin turbo V8, Toyota gets the four cylinder and the six cylinder turbos, and the six cylinder gets shared. Then eventually maybe Lexus gets a hot hatch. Like I think I saw, was it a concept or something? It
Like
was
a
like
CT 200.
yeah, but it was like something that size, but it was like a GR Corolla size thing or a Yaris thing, and it
Wow,
was
really?
Lexus and it looked mean. I can't remember the name. I don't know if it was like the Lexus B BX something. Man, I can't remember. Is it the
That's interesting.
Lexus LBX? Is that what it is?
Let me look it up right
Let me see.
now. Actually, I want to see this. Whatever this
Yes,
concept is. This looks nice. This shit looks
the
nice.
Lexus LBX.
This whole GT concept. That shit looks nice. But all right, let me look this up.
Ooh, yeah,
Lexus
if you give yeah, Lexus LBX.
LBX. Oh, okay. That's not bad. That's not bad. Wow. It reminds me of like a hybrid of the
Hmm.
CT200 and the NX200T.
I like the front of it personally. I love when
Lexus
the
UK
Japanese cars
magazine.
make these angry looking vehicles.
That's nice, yo.
Hmm.
Oh, the interior is nice too.
Yeah,
It's kind of like it reminds me of the new Jeep Grand Cherokee. I ain't gonna lie. The front dash part right here. I don't
yeah,
care
blue
about that.
screen.
Yeah. I had a service a Jeep Grand Cherokee, the newer body style ones, and it kind of had a similar interior.
I hope they give us this. I hope they make this like Toyota's on track right now. We're giving us a lot of concept cars that are becoming reality. This is something I think that could sell in the US to replace the CT2. Like,
Yeah,
still
of
give us the
course.
CT200H with a modern Prius, the modern interpretation of that.
I
And then give
think
us this as ice engine.
I think this is a comeback for the CT200 without calling it the CT200. I think this is what that is.
What it should have been from day one.
But it was already that good. It was hybrid. It had a lot of the styling
Yeah,
cues from
I still
their
want one.
Lexus lineup. Yeah, I still want one. The only thing was it was front wheel drive, but it was hybrid. It got the
Yeah,
same miles per gallon as a Prius. Like, and the thing looks
that's why I
slick.
want one.
The thing
Because
looks
yeah,
slick.
it's basically it's a Prius and a tuxedo, and in my opinion, they did a better job than Chevy did. Like, okay, Chevy made the Volt,
Hmm.
which was like the Prius competitor, right? Literally look like copy and paste, Americanized like a block, and I hate to say it, American quality, so it didn't look as nice and refined.
Yeah.
Then you have the Cadillac. I forget the name of what it was called, but you had the Cadillac EV looking thing,
Mm.
and it was like okay, yeah, Cadillac has the EV. Man, I gotta find the name of it because now I want to know the
You
name.
know what I like
And
about
and
this Toyota
it was just a
interior?
rebadge ELR, the ELR.
ELO.
But go ahead.
You know what I like about this Lexus interior? It has a volume knob. Oh man.
I
Oh
know.
man. I'm sold. I'm tired of the whole
Yeah,
touch. You know, the swipe. There's a swipe. The swipe's not bad, but it's annoying. And then the touch is hella. You got ding 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 ding. But I
hmm
like that
and you
volume
know what?
knob, actual
Yeah,
buttons, and it
and
even has like it kept to its true nature. Look at that, the old school, dial design. That's nice. It looks like it's
sad,
gonna be hybrid.
sad because we don't get this. We don't get this in the U.S. This car right now
It's in the
would
UK,
be.
New Zealand, and all that.
Yes, it was primarily designed for the European and Japanese markets, but it would be amazing, in my opinion, in the US. Like, for example, if this is shared, so the platform is shared with the Yaris, right?
Uh huh.
Give us just like how Mazda did with the CX-60, and then they made the CX-70 for the US, or they made the CX-80 for the rest of the world, and they made the CX-90 for the US.
Hmm.
Give us a US spec version of this car, just like they did. Okay, we didn't get the GR Yaris, but we got the GR Corolla. Give us the
I
same car.
I think I will still. I mean, I'm a joke about it to this day. I feel like the GR Yaris belongs over there, and the GR Corolla belongs over here because GR Corolla is for fatter people, and the GR Yaris is for everyone else in the world that doesn't face the
Yeah,
issues
yeah,
that
you're right.
America has. I'm gonna look at it like that for the rest of his life. But I joke around. But
and that's why I want one.
look at that though.
That's why I want an LBZ here. Like,
Look
come
at the
on,
LBX
give us that
G,
car.
the GR
I mean
Sport,
LBZ,
or like
LBX.
a
Yes, give us
concept
the
GR
LBX.
Sport. You seen this?
Yeah, like they need to give us that here. We need that.
No, we're not
Like
gonna get that. We're
you're
not gonna get
telling
that.
me Dodge is gonna sell a Hornet in Toyota. You can't give us that as a Lexus here to go show Dodge and Alpha and Fiat how it's done. Or wait, no, so Alpha. Oh, sorry, Alpha and Maserati because they all have these little egg SUVs. You know. Sorry,
Yeah,
Nissan Infinity, you guys were ahead of the game with the FX, so you guys can't participate in this anymore. But you guys give us a revival, maybe you can
I
with that
think
new 400 horsepower motor. No, the same.
so. They're not gonna give us this, and I understand why. Like they didn't give us the GR Yaris. It doesn't comply with the market value over there. Like, think about it like this, right? They have the Mini
What's
Cooper.
the next letter in the alphabet?
Hold on,
Sorry,
hold on, hold on.
L M. Okay, go.
They have the that's funny. They have the Mini Cooper, the Land Rover Range Rover. Now Ferrari's making an SUV. Volkswagen, Audi, BMW, Mercedes. Like they have the German counterparts in Germany. They have the Italian counterparts, which is just the Lamborghini's just a rebatch Volkswagen or Audi, whatever you want to call it. And then Lamborghini went out and did their whole SUV, which is cool, but it is what it is.
Yep.
The British got you know Mini Cooper, Land Rover, Range Rover, Aston Martin in some cases. I know I'm forgetting brands, and I apologize for the people over there. But it makes sense to sell in that market versus the market in America, where we're heavily based on SUV, and the big three's always doing it. Where they always built SUVs, they always built big SUVs, and because we're all fat little kakashis.
You're right.
So
You're
like
right.
to build even a sports compact or just a mid-sized sports SUV like this to sell in America is going to be hard with the likes of the Explorer, the Trailblazer, the Dodge Dart, the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and all these other brands. I'm not saying it won't sell, but more likely the American market is going to go towards the American branded SUVs than they are the Japanese. The
You're right.
people who get the Japanese cars know that they're getting reliability, and that's honestly what's mostly on the road to this day. Is like foreign cars to the domestic counterparts, and that's just the way it is.
That's true.
So they're not going to bring this to America when they already have the likes of the RX 350, the NX 200T. Those are already the best selling
Oh,
ones. What's up?
thank you. The NX 200T. I
Yeah,
forgot we had that here. Hold on, let me look that up. Give us a rebrand that.
the
NX
NX
200. Yeah,
200T.
the NX. Yeah. Oh, let me look up the NX
It's a
200. Let me
smaller
see this
version of
here.
like a RX 350, basically.
Perfect. 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 So they have something here. Guess what? Rip out that 2-liter four cylinder that comes in it, and when that new four
That new
cylinder
one
comes
drops.
out,
Put that
because I would
motherfucker
say
in
that
it.
yes, put that motor in it, and then you will have a product that will actually compete. Like I'm not. Let me say this. Let me not say actually compete. It competes already as it is in the market that it is there. What I'm saying is they need something to
Yeah, because
dethrone
even the
the others.
even my realtor, she her daily driver and where she drives around sells houses was an NX 200T.
Hmm.
So it's not like it
It
hasn't.
makes sense.
It's not like they ain't selling. They're selling. People who want the
Yeah.
luxury, people who understand now that they want reliability, don't want the headaches, but they still want luxury.
Hmm.
Now flock to this brand,
Hmm.
and it makes sense. So
Yeah.
to build a luxury, reliable sports SUV will be a hard sell, in my opinion, for Americans. That's why I understood.
It is a hard
That's
sell.
why, although I did like that they built a GR Yaris, I understood why they didn't bring it over here because we have a lot of not only we have a lot of issues, but we also have a lot of brands that do that. The Ford Focus,
Yeah.
Fiesta,
Yeah.
Chevy Bolt, Coco, not really, but you know, the
Yeah.
Dodge Dart supposedly. You know,
Yeah, yeah, the Dart or the new Hornet with the RT package with the little boost for the back. Yeah,
but
we have a lot of little small cars. So we have a what's the word? We have a saturated market here.
yeah, it's like it's annoying. And another reason why I think they don't bring those type of cars here unless like they could put it in something even bigger is because when they want to release something good and fast, like quick, they go right to Europe to sell it because
Yeah.
Europe is just racing. Like that's what they
Yeah,
like.
Europe appreciates racing. They actually shut down their roads and will race in their real streets and say, "Hey, all
And
right,
I'm
racetrack."
and this is not a hit against America. I'm not saying America doesn't like racing. It's just for some reason
Say
we
it,
are very
say it.
cutthroat or axing or we're just biased. Like, oh, American racing is the best. Nothing else is like it. Like we're just too prideful
Hmm.
in a sense. Like,
Too
be
much pride.
and then they
Pride
forget
is the
about
devil.
World Rally. They forget about Formula One. They forget about all the other formulas. They forget about GT racing. Like now that all of a sudden the past 5 years, all of a sudden Cadillac's getting into the hypercar. This now like Acura's getting back into the not getting back to they're getting into the
Racing.
hypercar. They're
Yeah.
getting back to the top pedigrees of endurance racing. Now is like they were getting into what is it the GT class like the Ford GT, the Corvette. They were all in the GT class of things. They never went hypercar. It was always the
Hmm.
European counterparts that went hypercar, the top of the class. Now we're getting those likes into the top of the class of world endurance, and it's like, yeah, all right, we supposed to have the best racing. Why are we going over there and trying prototype racing? Oh, you
And the
realize
reason
the
why
best
this is
racing
important,
is in Europe.
and the reason why this is so important is because whenever they make race cars, these race cars, their technology trickles down into our production cars,
Yeah, but
and
that's
that's why it's very important.
I agree with that. I like the fact that they used to do it like that for that aspect, but it's a lot
Yeah,
of times even then it's not unless you're getting a Corvette or a Mustang. Even then it's not reflected
it's not the
well.
same interpretation. Yeah,
Well, not only
it's like
that,
a watered down
like even with the Coyote
system.
Mustang, it had people who got brands like stock Coyote Mustangs or whatever the newer ones. They ran through oil consumption issues. Like
Yep.
they don't actually trickle down the technology they do in racing because racing is a whole different ballgame. They just we
Yeah,
raced
more
the
money.
Mustang in the GT class. Here, you could have the Mustang in your house. It's like one of those things. I'm not
They give you the street version, the street variant. You know, it's not
a
the
street
same
variant
exact,
with
but they'll
oil
say, all right,
consumption issues. Are you kidding me?
there's no excuse for that. Like we can't. You know what I mean? You still see Ford people on the forums complain about that and rag them. Like they're still like, yo, I love this car, but they're like, I keep oil in the back.
Yeah, and that's what's
It's like
annoying
that.
because like the last time I ever thought about that before I heard this issue years ago was a Volkswagen Jetta. That's why I'm like, how does Ford have this issue?
That's true. Volkswagens, they used to be
They
notorious for
burn through oil, but
consuming
people will
oil,
die.
burn
But
through oil.
they have a loyal fan base, and people will die hard by the Jetta. I respect it. They're cuckoo, but I respect it because that's what that crowd attracted. Like that's
Yeah,
they will like the
yeah, they'll do.
VR6 and the 1.8 turbo. Now it's a 2-liter turbo with the E888 motor from Audi. They will die by that, and I get it because that's their
Yeah,
fan base. Ford never really had these oil consumption issues too recently. How?
yeah, this is true. It's true. Like they had other issues shooting on spark plugs, engine grenading itself, stuff like that. But oil consumption, yeah, it's like, come on. I
So
mean,
like as much as I
that's
like to
not like
agree
them.
with you, where they're going back to racing, they're gonna trickle down the technology. They've already been in racing, GT racing, and the only technology that's trickled down is the frame and part of the engine. Let's say everything else, like oil
Yeah,
consumption
small
issues,
parts.
lockup issues
They do
because of
cheap
oil
out.
starvation. Yeah, it's just like
Let's be real. They do cheap out because they have to. It's a production car, so they can't. They don't have race team
Blake, Blake.
development money.
No, 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 no. I will not give him that excuse because I remember the markups those Mustang GT 350s have. I will never give him that excuse that they gotta keep the cost down and X Y. No,
Yeah,
no, hell
that's
no,
true. That's true.
hell
That's
no.
true. The markups were insane.
So
I can't speak about the markups.
because the GT 350
That
alone is
was shady
already
work.
the GT 350 and the GT 500 alone, both in their respective areas, was already an expensive car to begin with, and then the markup was just insane. So even if you take out the
Yeah,
markup for the amount of money they're charging for the cars, throw a dry sump in that bitch. Stop the oil starvation issue.
yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. That is true. That's true. It's like you went all out and say, hey, this is a street race car that you can buy. and race, take it to the track, and then you can't really take it to the track. It's like, okay, is this really a race car, or you guys just sell me a package?
You know, you guys gotta
And yeah,
redesign
that's
the heads,
correct.
put better guides so that it doesn't fucking slick through oil in that motherfucker, and just do a dry sump. You really want to
Yeah,
sell, like, make that bitch low, put a flat pan, put a dry sump, put the tank either in the engine bay or out back, and just call it a day. Put a little drain plug, design a little
yeah,
drain plug in the trunk end so that you could drain all that oil,
that's
fill
it.
it up in the back. You know, make sure you
Exactly,
prime it, and that's it. You know, if you, but that's for like
exactly.
the GT350 and the GT500, those variants. I'm not talking about every Mustang. I'm talking about those
Yeah,
like
exactly.
special, trims, and they actually work the R&D on, stuff like that.
Yeah, bespoke models. Not the Coyote. You're fine. They're. I'm not gonna say you're fine. There's still some that do consume oil,
Yeah,
ironically, but
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 like, let's say you
appreciate.
design, let's say factory, it comes with dry sump. Let's say, right? You could design right off of that, and if you want to, let's say, convert your engine to dry sump, you gotta buy parts here and there. They're gonna be expensive because those are Ford parts. They're for the GT350 and the 500. But you could buy a factory Ford like FOMO code dry sump pan, and do your own
Hmm.
dry sump or whatever. Do your own oil pump gears and shit like that. But I digress. No, I think America is a little prideful in that sense. Now they're going European racing, which is I'm like, huh? I wonder why. Now Ford's joining Red Bull in Formula One. Huh? I wonder. I mean, you know what?
I'm gonna say
I'll give
one
them.
thing. They learned that drag racing is not only form of racing,
Oh, for sure, and then circuit racing with NASCAR. But I will give them
and then
credit.
yeah, just going in a circle.
I will give them credit. They were in Formula One in the '90s and early '80s with the Ford Cosworth partnership as far as their V8s and then the Benetton Ford. Like they were in Formula One,
Mhm.
so I give them credit with that. Now they're going back to it because they're like, oh, we could benefit from this. Oh, I wonder why. They were already there, so I'll give them credit. Now that Cadillac's
Exactly.
joining the mixture, I'm like, all right, you guys were never in this motherfucker. Why are you going European racing?
Yeah. It's like, what do you have interest in here? And what do you want? What are you trying
Because
to capture? And you know
European
what?
racing's the shit. That's why.
And on top of that, from what I know, Cadillac's mission statement is Cadillac feels that they've fallen so far behind the wayside because back then they used to be the world standard. You either got a Mercedes Benz or you got a Cadillac. Cadillac was the
I don't
company
know
for
about
America.
that, but I get you.
But like back then you'd always hear "float like a Cadillac, sting like a Beamer." Cadillac was that car that people aspired to own back then.
Mm-hmm.
So now that they've fallen by the wayside, Cadillac is trying to reestablish itself as a brand, and that's why they're making cars like the Lyric or the Celestic now, because those are supposed to be big grand cars to bring Cadillac back to that grand prestigious nature where you bought that big Luxor land yacht, which meant you were the king of the road, you had the most money, you were the top dog.
Fucking hell. So let's I mean it is what it is, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I'll argue with is I can understand why you say Cadillac and Mercedes were the standard, but Lexus kicked them right out the park for a third of the cost. Anywho,
90s. Okay, let's talk. If we're gonna talk about the 90s and up, I will not knock it. Lexus came in swinging and
1989,
socked them both in the jaw.
bah!
They socked them both in the jaw and said, "Hey, we're the new kings." Showed everybody we can make it just as smooth as an engine as BMW or Mercedes or whoever you want, and
That glass
that
commercial
our car. And
fucking
then and then and
stayed
then and
still.
then and then and now let's fast forward a few years. Now we can say that their cars are still on the road, and most of those old Mercedes, not on the road. Most of those old Cadillacs, definitely not on the road. Most of those old BMWs, not on the road. Most of those old Audis, Bentleys, whatever brand that was a luxury brand back then, not on the road. So one of them stood the test of time, and you can show where they actually spent the money on their R&D and
Mm-hmm.
developing a product for the people, and the rest of them just built the car.
Of course. Fucking hell. Eh, it is what it is. But let's go back to that venture with the Celica, since we're talking about the Lexus LXB with the 2 liter.
Yeah,
Which one would you think be mightier? Let's say. You think the 4B11 from Mitsubishi, since we were talking about the whole dealers giving on Mitsubishi, the 4B11 still stood the test of time for what it took? or do you think the new G20 will give it a run for its money? As far as new out production engines.
Let's just say this. I'm gonna actually say this. New out production engines. Sorry, Toyota's about to show everybody the world how it's done because it's not the first time they've done it. You know what I mean? They've done it with the 3S. They've done it before in the past with other turbo motors. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? It's not the they made multiple turbo fours. They even had a supercharged four cylinder in their Toyota Previa minivan. So
That's true.
I think that an engine that's already going to come already they're already saying it's going to come with 400 horsepower. They're already going after the top dog in a four cylinder game, which right now is Mercedes in terms of power output.
Mm-hmm.
So they're already saying we want that spot back. You don't you guys had fun doing it, but let us show you how it's done, and we're going to make a car to put that motor in to show you guys how it's done.
If as long as it's to me, I guess I would say is if you're gonna make high power outputs, I just hope and wish that they go not a little bit back to the drawing board, but they just go back and revise the oil pan and make a dry sump version for it. And I just hope that the internals of that block are strong. Like it's a closed deck aluminum block, has all the bells and whistles. If you're building if you do like a Nickel coated liner, I get it because you build in a pretty strong and a light lubricant liner without adding the extra weight of like an iron or steel sleeve. So I get that in a sense if you want to do stuff like that, or if you incorporate the sleeve in the actual bore like they do with the 2GR. I get it, but I want to see something better than Mitsubishi's last hurrah with the 4B11, where people, although it's still a great engine in somewhat stock form, people still have to resolve to sleeving it, doing amphibian sleeves, or like doing like what is it, press to liner. So they press, where is it? I just had that picture. They press the engine liners coming out so that that's all filled. I just had it. Where'd it go? Right here. So they have to press the
Oh, that's good
liners
to know.
because it's an open deck block, so they shave off the bridges that are in the factory casting and put their own press sleeve in
Mm-hmm.
there. Like you just have to do so much aftermarket as far as machining goes to get them to be not just. I mean, they're pretty reliable,
Oh,
but to be more reliable for more power. I want Toyota and Lexus to tackle those issues of the turbo four cylinder early on. I don't want them to go open deck or even
yes,
semi open deck. I want them to go
yes,
traditional, go what you're used to doing. You're still able to shave weight somewhere, but just do that. If you do that for me, and
yep,
if you do a dry sump variant for like the new like MR2 or Celica, whatever you want to come out with, so that you can hang that motor low and send that thing right to the back. I'm for it. I'm for that. And if they do that,
sir,
if they listen to this, I'll be cool. I'll be like, yo,
sir,
I'm even gonna say it's my idea. I'll be like, yo, that's all you. I just wish it happened. That's
sir.
all it is. But that's
Let
what I
them
want to
let
see.
them design it with a wet sump system for now.
Yeah,
That way, then maybe we can implement it and we get the motor cheaper. And if we want, yes, hopefully they engineer it for a dry sump system so one can just be added on and bolted right on, and you're good to go.
because they're definitely confirming the Celica. The MR2 is still questionable. But I guess there's release of concepts like this for the MR2, which will be nice to see.
If they do, if they do, we know they're gonna just make one platform. Yes, they'll share the same chassis, but we do know their seating position and things like that will be different. Like knowing Toyota, they will make them different enough in between. Like yes, the MI2 will probably be yes a two seater, but
Mm-hmm.
their T top removable, and the Celica will be the four door.
No,
And if
Celica
it's
will
railroad
be
drive,
two door, I believe. They're gonna replace the
and if
whole
it's railroad
the
drive,
GR86 and then just do Celica, I think.
And if it's railroad drive, like it should be, not like the ones in the 2000s that were front wheel drive. Not knocking them because the previous gen was front wheel drive as well, but at least it offered all wheel drive. They're going to have a very fun sports car that people will now say, yes, I'm happy and proud to drive my Toyota. Not saying people don't like the current Supra. Like, I mean, we're not saying the Supra isn't good. I guess.
It's the
It's just
branding
not
that
Toyota.
kills it.
It's not 100% Toyota. Just like the BRZ was never 100, or GT86 or FRS was never 100% Toyota.
Hmm.
So it's like let's get 100% Toyota car. Just like, I mean, hate to say it, Nissan gave us 100% Nissan car, which is the 400Z. You can
And a
look at it and know
GTR,
it's a Nissan product,
GTR too.
and the GTR. But but like you said, the GTR, I can agree, was crafted by a completely different team. That was like, it's like, let's just call that Nissan special vehicle. Okay, let's no
NSV.
GTR, what it is. That's GTR. Exactly, NSV. That's GTR. They built a car that also can stand the test of time
Of course.
and still perform with some of the greats. And I'm gonna say I noticed that about a lot of Nissan products. Their cars will stand the test of time. It's just they do require more maintenance than a Honda or Toyota. You
Hmm.
will have to kind of baby it, or I'm not gonna say baby it if you drive it hard, maintain it more than a said Honda or Toyota for sure.
Oh, for sure. I think.
So not as reliable as a Toyota. They might make good power, but yes, your Toyota will outlast and make pretty much identical power.
I think.
It's my take. My take
I
on
I agree
Toyota.
with you with that.
And
If they built this, I will agree. Um, I would say, although yes, they did do joint ventures on the GR86 or the FRS, whatever, however they want to call it, and the Supra. The BRZ is more Toyota than it is Subaru. Although they share the engine, you could tell that whether you slap a Subaru badge or a Toyota badge on it, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense. There's no question about it. Versus the Supra, where it was just like, we're grabbing this whole platform and doing it our way type thing. That part threw a lot of people off. Granted, it is, to me at least, it's a good looking vehicle from the outside.
it
I
is.
didn't I don't like the fact that they still based it off the FT1 because the FT1 looked spectacular, and the fact that they kind of, I'm gonna call it downgraded for now. That's probably a better term for it. They downgraded the FT1 to make it look for the
Yeah,
new Supra. I don't like that
you're,
aspect of it. Like, I even have it right here.
you are right.
I don't
You
like
are
that
right. Please
aspect
pull
of
that
it,
up.
you know. But
You are absolutely right. Yeah, I like that.
but I understand. I like the fact that although it had that reputation, people weren't afraid to grab it, and the aftermarket grew for that car, and the B58 grew for that car because the B58 was already growing with one stock and the older BMWs, but the B50 in New York,
Mm.
rest in peace to him, but it definitely grew, like significantly grew when the Supra came about, and it's all because of the name Supra. It got this motor. Let's tackle it. Let's do what we can. Now you see in 7 second passes with the B58,
You're right.
and then the
Exactly, and
S58 with all-wheel drive.
it's amazing what a name and a background can do for a car and a
Of course,
platform. Because if that platform has no background, no name, no recognition, that platform will be left in the dust. I'm always saying that. I'm looking at you, Lincoln LS and Jaguars and everything, or I'm looking at you, Cadillac North Stars
Cadillac
that
North
did the
Star,
real drive.
man. You still hating on
What
that,
else?
but
I'm still
But
still
it's
today, but yeah,
but with the Supra, it makes sense. And Toyota wouldn't choose that type of motor if they didn't think it was reliable. You got BMW
yeah,
issues, but like if you look at the rod bearing design, if you look at the piston to stroke design, if you look at all the neat bells and whistles, they've made it. They've learned
they
from
nailed it.
30, 40
Their
years of
mistakes,
fucking up.
yeah, they've nailed it finally. They finally
All
nailed it,
these
and now
years
I feel
with
like that's
these
the
engines
epitome.
and rod bearing failures, this was the actual motor to finally negate that, and the S58 was even better. Like, the rod bearing failure now is almost no more, and it's crazy how much they jumped up the reliability factor in the Kelly Blue Book ratings. It's crazy.
Yeah, like they went from being like, oh yeah, you know what you're gonna expect out of one of these to, hey, go ahead, drive this car
I
two
think
hundred
I
thousand
think in
miles and drive
either
it hard.
I think in either 2021 or 2022 they jumped to third place in most reliable brands. And it's because of that engine platform. The B50 once the B58 S58 came out, game over. Game over. because you just the S58 was just a better variation of the B58. It was a shorter
Yeah.
stroke with a bigger, wider piston. You know, had twin turbos. Yeah, the rods were really small, so you can't really crank out 700 foot-pounds of torque out of them before you snap a rod. But other than that,
Mhm.
it was that was literally the German 2J, in my opinion. I will still say
Torque
it to this day.
torque kills engines.
Of course,
Well, torque kills everything. Pretty much kills everything.
high horsepower is a leading factor to torque, and then torque just kills engines.
Yep.
Horsepower is has its own variant or equation that uses a torque basis. So at the end of the day, torque kills engines. You're right. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But no, this would be nice to see. I would definitely, if they build this MR2, well, I'm snagging one. I don't care. I would I would sell
Hmm.
everything. I'll sell everything to get one, just to
Honestly,
just to drive one.
I would get one too because I was just thinking about building one. And if they give us a modern interpretation where now, because there's things about just to say it, you want your childhood dream car, the unsung heroes, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And then once you get inside your dream car or you meet your hero, sometimes you realize they're not that good,
Oh yeah, for
unfortunately.
sure.
And you start seeing their shortcomings and you're like, man, this was my hero. But sometimes you realize you can find a better hero.
Nah, but this is it. I definitely would want to see this. I would definitely snag one if they do it, and it'll be bold for them to do like it'll be a four cylinder, but it wouldn't be transverse. It'll be longitudinal. If they do that, that's bold. So
Hmm.
I could just slap a big ass turbo when I get it. Just take. I have so much room. Put a big intercooler here and stuff like there. It'll be nice to do, and then it'll be nice. I
Yes,
would if they build an MR2 like this exact design, I'll snag it. I'll snag it all day.
absolutely. That looks sinister. And that follows their new headlight kind of design. So that looks sinister.
Of course. And if they build a V6 with that, oh man, twin turbo V6. Yo, Celica, and MR2, they gotta do it. They gotta do a bespoke V6 for like a Gremlin version, whatever they call GRMN version or Mariza version, and they gotta do a turbo four cylinder. They gotta do it. I want to see it.
Absolutely, they have to. They have to.
And imagine they make the how if they do the four cylinder on a Celica, they make it all wheel drive. If they do the MR2, they do it all wheel drive.
That's what I was thinking. And that'd be
They just do
amazing.
a different transmission for it and just put the use a transfer case.
I
Make
wouldn't
that
be surprised. That would scream Toyota. You know what I mean? The Celica, engine this way, boom, all-wheel drive, like the same thing with the RS. But that M2, boom, boom, yeah,
and it's either one or two
that'd be
ways.
good old fashioned.
Either they do it transverse and the engine's hanging out, which I don't like, or they do it longitudinal, but they do it like the B&Ws, how they have it at an angle, and they put the transmission shaft right through there, so that the engine's still tilted, and then the shaft just goes right beside the engine block. That would be nice. I would definitely like to see that.
Yeah,
I'll
that'd
definitely
be
like to
really
see
nice.
that.
Actually, that'd actually be nice. Hmm.
Imagine all-wheel drive and like rear-wheel drive versions of these cars, or front-wheel drive version of Celica.
Yeah, I know. So you still get the best of both worlds. You get to enjoy that engine as a front wheel drive. They go against everything else as front wheel drive, and then you still get to enjoy it as rear wheel drive.
Heck yeah,
That's Toyota going back into their classic '90s esque style, like how they built cars where they were multi purpose. They built this main motor went in. It could go in front wheel drive, go in rear wheel drive. It can
all-wheel
go in
drive.
a mid
Yep,
engine, whatever you want. All like whatever you need it to do, it'll do it. And then as long as you had your engine, transmission, your transfer case, you're good to go. Send it.
that's what I want to see. I want to see if they make the MR2 all-wheel drive.
Yeah, yeah. And then hopefully give us the same technology that this is something that this is why I still want I would maybe I just have to get one or at least one or maybe drive one, have one for a month or a year or a week with GR Corolla because they have the system that you can adjust to. Hey, I want to be front wheel drive. I want to be rear wheel drive. I want to just be 50-50.
Yeah,
It's like, wow, you're giving me the choice to say, hey, today I'm feeling like front wheel drive. Today
I th-
I want to be able to kick it out.
what I would like to see from the MR2 is, let's say they do a base and the base is just a four-cylinder rear-wheel drive, transverse axle car, whatever. That's it. And then
Mm-hmm.
like a more premium will be like the all-wheel drive, and then
Yeah,
but it will be a transverse. It will be a longitudinal style with the shaft going across and like the whole engine slant, like the BMW or the old RBs, and then you could do like a GR M&M, which is just twin turbo V6. And then with the
yeah,
Celica, it'll be a similar situation where they do a front wheel drive for the 4 cylinder. They do all wheel drive with that same 4 cylinder high output, and they do a rear wheel drive with a twin turbo V6. If they build these cars and these platforms the
man.
way I'm thinking in my head, like what I just described, these will be Swiss Army knives. The
Yeah,
only thing it
and
can't
literally,
do,
that's it.
the only thing it can't do, actually, the Celica could probably do it if they do like a lift kit and shit. Is off road. That's that's the only thing MR2 can't do. Other than that, they will be the Swiss Army knives of the next generation of performance vehicles.
But but you know what? You're right. But guess what? That's what the aftermarket's for. Because just like people have taken the old Corvettes or
Mm-hmm.
Porsche 911s or BMWs, you name it, whatever car, made them off-road little variants.
Yeah,
That's to leave that to the aftermarket. They'll probably figure out a way to extend the control arms, extend the axles, and
but
then
even then,
so
you
you at
know
least
how
keep the same
crazy that would
geometry.
be. You know how crazy that would be if Toyota came out the gate was like, we got 3 trim options with 3 different engine layouts for the MR2 and the Celica. Well, Celica will be two. It
Yeah,
will just be a drivetrain. It'll be a drivetrain swap, but it'll be the what is it? The transverse style 4 cylinder. But you get the
yeah,
idea. It will just be three
yeah.
different. The It'll be 3 different models of trims for the same car.
So I want to know if they can develop the same system that they have in the Yaris, just obviously as a front FR layout, front engine rear wheel drive
Hmm.
setup. Or if it's not front engine, that way then yes. If it's still, front engine but like mounted sideways,
Oh yeah, of course.
instead of longitudinally, then okay, at least beef everything up so that we know if we really want to send it like rear wheel drive for like a couple of days, so that the system doesn't overheat. That will you see that on some of the
Well,
track videos.
if you saw the Tokyo Auto Salon, they put that engine in the back of a GR Yaris.
That's
So
true. Thank you for reminding me about that. So that already gives us the idea. An MR2 mid-engine rear-wheel drive two-seater. So
yeah,
it's
and
definitely
you could
gonna
also
have
make
to
it
be
all-wheel drive, and you could just go bananas and do like a race version and do a bespoke twin turbo V6. I think they need a new twin
can
turbo
they
V6. That's what I think.
can they maybe they should do something different. How about this? Let's get even crazier. Maybe they should do something crazy like this. Instead, make the Celica on the same platform, right?
Hmm.
And instead of giving it a trunk, engines in the back,
Hmm.
and you just give us a front and make the car so people are like, yo, this shit's like an EV, but this shit the engine's in the back. Hey, shit.
Well, that was the whole design concept of those type of cars. But
that's wishful thinking.
just
But
imagine.
that would make me want to go get something, their new motor, oh man, that would be
And
amazing.
with the MR2, they should they should finally do. I mean, they're not gonna do it, which makes sense. But they should finally do what the Alpha 4C has, like a carbon fiber monocoque. Because those Alpha 4Cs are pretty affordable. So if they're gonna make this affordable, might as well go all out and know what you could stuff in. Imagine like 400 horsepower in like a 2,200 pound car. That's insane. You're damn near
Yeah,
supercar territory,
yeah, that'd be wild.
and it ain't even a
That'd
supercar.
be
It's a sports car.
yeah, damn, yeah.
And you do a twin
That would
turbo
be
V6
insane.
behind there.
It'd be
Jesus.
light. It's still light. Still light. I mean, but since they want to make a new, like you said, 2J, or they're trying to build a new engine to replace, the
Yeah.
2J's heritage. Well, I'm not gonna say heritage, but the greatness and bring us into the modern era, and they want to build the greatest four-cylinder. We know it's gonna happen. This four-cylinder is gonna have to handle the work of three engines. It's gonna have to outshine, obviously, four cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna have to outshine some of the six cylinders out there,
It's not gonna outshine the
and
VR.
but it's gonna have to outshine some V8s. I mean, meaning for the performance that you're getting in this small package, like small lightweight sports car, it's going to have a lot of with how do I call it, engineering done into like,
Ooh.
hey, this engine. It's light. It has a nice power range, like the range where your power is coming in. You know, throughout the rev range, the power band. Let's see where it is.
So
It's gonna have a
what
lot.
what I'll say to that is it will outshine a lot of four cylinders. It will outshine a lot of six cylinders, disregarding the performance variants like the B58, S58, and the VR38.
Yeah,
Just to go like no one's gonna beat that. It's gonna be Toyota has to literally redesign the whole sheet to build another six cylinder to beat that. Like there's no way. We talked about this before,
yeah,
but I could see them beating a lot of naturally aspirated V8s. Like the sole the reason why the Eclipse had his name or gained such a lot of clout was not just because that was sold in the American market.
mm,
Those things were beating Mustangs with just a wastegate. You see what I'm saying? Like it was either the naturally
mm,
aspirated Fox body Mustang or the Eclipse, and they were always fighting it. And the Eclipse will always dog walk the Mustang.
yeah. Always. That's why even Ford wanted to make their version of one of those, and they were gonna make a probe,
But like
and they were gonna make that a Mustang.
so when you say it has to outshine a lot of V8s, I think it will right out the gate. It's just when it comes to the performance variants, like twin turbo V8s, like the LT7
Yeah,
or
those
like
those
the
those
McLaren's
those are little.
M840T, those are like top of the line, top of the line. But if you're talking about
Yeah,
like production, like right out the gate, they make
yeah.
like four or five hundred
I'm talking
horsepower.
about Scat Packs, Snap Packs.
Coyote
You know
stuff
what I
like that,
mean?
they'll outshine them.
Coyotes.
They'll outshine
You
them
know,
all day.
LS2s. You know, the 6.0s, the Camaros. There's like the regular ones. Maybe even a Z28. You know what I mean? They might even say, "Hey, it's on the track." It's like I'm right there with you.
Because it might be 100, 200 less horsepower than like the Hellcat or the Red Eye, whatever it may be,
But
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 you
you have
save 1,000, 1,500 pounds.
weight, maybe even 2,000 pounds.
Well, I know
Just
they're
to be
both. I
real.
know they're boats, but they're not that
No,
crazy of a boat.
they're boats. If Toyota wants to make their cars, if they try to make it like under 2,800, 2,900 pounds, that's almost enough for me to say, okay, I'm sorry.
If they
39,
if they
all right.
make a twenty five
It's
hundred
gonna be
pound
much
car,
lighter than a Trackhawk,
yeah, if they make a twenty
sure.
five hundred power car, 2,500 pound car with like around 500 horsepower, all they need is like a 275 tire, and that thing will track. They don't need like a crazy wide tire, so you save weight everywhere, not just on chassis alone.
Yeah.
Suspension, wheels and tires, all that stuff.
I mean, most of these people that get those challenges charges, we're
They got
Americans,
big
kind of heavy.
315s, like
So,
345s, whatever it may be.
then add another person that's 315 in that car, maybe. Okay, maybe, so maybe they're 250, 315, between that range. That's
They're
your
big
average
boys. They're
Dodge
big
owner.
boys. They're big boys.
Dodge, because yeah, they're like, hey, it's a big car. They get it because they fit in it like a glove.
Alrighty.
So
Let's end off with which which configuration. Well, I like which V8 would you like to see, either twin turbo or which twin turbo V8 engine you like. So I'll give you an example. The F154 out of the Ferrari is a 3.9 liter twin turbo V8 from the factory. The M840T is a twin turbo V8 engine from the factory. The Coyote Mustang is a twin turbo, but people you see twin turbo those. Chevy
all the time.
LS's, now the
Mhm.
LT7. Some people already done LT6 twin turbos. Some people done LT twin turbos, so on and so forth. You get the idea. So, which twin turbo
Yep.
configuration from which manufacturer you think is the best or top dog?
Top dog right now, man. Well, if we're not gonna say from the not, if we're saying aftermarket, it was like slightly aftermarket included, like like Coyote, or not included.
Well, I will say,
If we're not gonna
you know
include
what?
those,
I will
then
say this. I will say
I'm
this.
gonna say if we're gonna say I'm only gonna look at the Germans. I'm really only gonna be looking at the Germans, like and well, Japanese don't really have a twin turbo V8 right now, but they're
Well,
working on it.
they're working
Toyotas,
on it. Working on it.
and so it's either gonna be between the Toyota, the Germans, and the Italians, and
So here's what I'll do.
honestly,
Here's what
and
I'll
and
do to
then
make
and
it
now the
easier.
Americans, now with the Corvette. I want to see the Corvette.
Here's what I'll do to make it easier.
Hmm.
You don't have to crack. You don't crack open the block. You just turbo it. That's it. Twin turbos. So For all those guys out there that build their LSs and start slapping turbos and making 2,000 horsepower, this is not for you. I'm talking about get out the junkyard or get out a crash car, whatever it may be. Just putting turbos on it,
Oh,
or even if you
okay,
grab the engine already twin
easy.
turbo, what is it?
You know what? All right, all right. You know what? Give me a Mercedes M113K. Right? Is it M113 or the
That's supercharged
M115?
though.
I'm gonna take the supercharger off and twin turbo it. Now, because you know why? That motor is already fairly stout from the factory, and I feel like turbo power might actually benefit that car.
Mm. You know, I didn't think of it like that.
I mean, you see people take Hellcats, they take the supercharger off, twin turbo them, and now they're at 1,000. They're like, I can go more, and they
I
just
want to
boost the power.
say McLaren 840T, but after like 900 horsepower, rods below, and that's what I kind of
Mm.
don't like about that engine. So I might have to go either
Hmm.
Ferrari F154 or I would say 5.3 liter LS. One of those two.
Can't go wrong with a 5.3.
The only difference is
I did
cost,
see,
but
hmm I did see a SEMA build with a Mustang that was a twin turbo Ferrari V8. Yeah, I was like, that was cool.
oh yeah,
Maybe I could find it in some link.
the Coyote will probably be a good solid competitor, but again, you have to do rods at a certain horsepower level. So I'm saying like right out the gate, just throwing turbos and ethanol and making like damn near 4-digit horsepower without doing like internal work. I think it either has to go to the Ferrari or the 5.3. You know,
Yeah.
junkyard LS coming out of the truck, just throw it in whatever you got and just slap a couple of, you know, slap a couple of Chinese ching chong makers, whooshers.
Now,
Oh, I saw this. I saw
if
this.
we
Yeah,
were
I know what
gonna
you're talking
say,
about.
yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, if we're gonna say another motor, in all honesty, oh man, another motor that would be good to see twin turbo would be Toyota's 2UR,
I would like to see that too. Yeah.
because that could probably rev pretty high. Turbos will spin pretty fast. And turbos, a supercharger, like however that guy who supercharges
Yeah,
had the belt slip issue because the engine's spinning too fast. You don't got the issue with the turbo.
that is true. It's all you use the exhaust wasted energy to spin a turbine.
hmm hmm
I would like to see that. I would like to see what the factory components are capable of when it's twin turbo, like a 5 liter like that, especially. I would like to see that.
Yeah,
I do agree with you.
because
I want to see that.
Ford's 5 liter can do a lot.
I feel like it could hold up, but I feel like it won't hold up to a lot based on especially compression ratio, because it's a pretty high compression ratio.
Mm.
But
I feel like
that'll
that's
be
only better for us today now.
true if you add direct injection. Yeah, it will help. I mean, those motors do come direct injection, so maybe we'll see. Because the reason why GM was able to make 1,063 horsepower out of their LT7s because they went from a 12 or 13 to 1 to a 9 to 1, almost 10 to 1. You
Mm.
know, because turbos like, you know, cooler combustion
Yeah,
ratios. They like cooler compression ratios. They can spin
yeah.
faster. They don't hurt the internals more. They go right for it.
Hmm. Aftermarket pistons
That's what I'm saying. So
bring that
that's
compression
why I
ratio
said
up.
you can't crack open the block.
Mm.
That's why I said that.
Well, that means I need a lazy engine, and I'm gonna take that Mercedes engine then.
Hey, it's all
It's
fair.
fairly lazy.
Fair.
It's fairly lazy without any mods. You can get them. You can still get them non super. Sorry,
It's all good.
uh, you can get them non supercharged.
Oh, for sure. But
So
that'll be
not
it
bad.
for tonight. We'll catch y'all Sunday.
Yes,
We are
and
your
hopefully,
hosts.
me, no 60 by then.
Not only no sickness, no traveling, cause you be just if you ain't sick, you out. If you out, you sick. Crazy. You live in an
Yeah,
extreme lifestyle.
yeah. Gotta stay, gotta save. I'm gonna take my vitamins, take my orange juice, and I'll be good.
Heck yeah, man.
Take my
But
medicine too.
we are your hosts. Hopefully you feel better. I am Rod. This is Sarbalaki or Blake, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Doses.